Hey everybody, I'm Bill and welcome to episode number 5 of the Angle of a Talk podcast. And my guest today is the artist formerly known as CitatioMax. That's right, it is CitationMax. Max is one of the most valuable members of this small little weird flight sim aviation community that we have here. So I'm very, very excited to learn more about Max personally, you know, what he's up to, how he got to the point he's at now, flying this awesome Citation M2 around. Super great guy. I'm sure all of you have either seen one of his videos or seen him in a Twitch stream chat or even watched one of his own Twitch streams. Fantastic guy, awesome pilot, and I can't wait to learn more about him. So without further delay, let's meet CitatioMax. Damn it! So without further delay, let's meet CitationMax.
What's going on, guys? How are we doing? What's up, fellas? We're in Aspen. We flew in last night. Probably the coolest approach I've ever flown in my pilot career.
Flight model! Look at my flight model!
Freaking Goldie!
Are they having a big smoochy smooch out there?
Oh, why is my plane going around? No. We got plenty of runway. Going to Houston. Reset your hotel today.
We're gonna take off Cherry and Ep.5 runway heading with you, Jet 5 Mike Whiskey.
Reverse! Oh, we blew a tire, I think. Something happened. I was thinking. Oh, no. Oh, boy.
CitationMax, the name change,
Mr.
the
Bill.
artist formerly known as CitatioMax.
What's up, Bill? How you
Welcome.
doing, buddy?
Welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, episode 5 of the Angle of a Talk podcast. So you were, I think, the first person besides like Julia and, you know, like some family members that I told about wanting to do this like 3-4 months ago. So it's great to finally have you on here. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's an honor and a privilege to be on the best podcast on the interwebs. So thank you for having me. No, I was really honored to be on here, and yes, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Sweet, absolutely, man. Well, like I said in the intro, you're a very valued member of this community, and the aviation community, and this kind of weird like Twitch simulator, real aviation. It's kind of a weird community. What's your take on the space that you kind of live in regarding all those?
You see, I love the community. From my point of view, I've met all my close friends on Twitch and through this great niche community. So I love it. Obviously, there's ups and downs, but 98.6% of it is fantastic. So I love it. As you can probably tell during the day when I'm not flying, I'm on Twitch and I'm on here. So I love it, but I know it obviously has its goods and bads, but I think it's a great thing, and I'll never probably stop being on Twitch until it's off the internet. So there's that too. Which
it was a little bit today. There was a mini freak out.
Oh yeah. I couldn't function. I was texting you. I was texting my buddies. I'm like, dude, Twitch is down. What's going on here? Like, is it me? Is it my internet? No, it's not. I went to reset the router. And like, no, so yeah.
That's exactly what I did too. I tried it on every device that I had.
Yeah.
And then, immediately I only use Twitter when things are down. It's like, like last week or 2 weeks ago when Facebook, Instagram are down. I'm like, am I imagining this? Go to Twitter. Yep, it's down.
Well, I didn't even know where to check to see if Twitch was down. So I just put in, if Twitch is down, where do I go? And first link was Twitter. I'm like, okay, great. Of course. I'm going to Twitter. Sure. It was funny though. But no, I mean, that shows you how, Twitch is kind of important. You can do anything on Twitch, and it's obviously tonight it was the Thai show, which is amazing. But you can find anything on Twitch. It's actually kind of interesting. I had a friend that was doing like a little cook thing at her house with a bunch of friends, and I needed to look at like a cooking, to learn how to cook. And I went on Twitch and like, who is like a good Twitch chef? Yeah. And there was someone that was doing like empanadas. I'm like, I'm all into this. So I was on my computer, like learning how to cook. Obviously I probably remembered like 3 things out of the whole thing, but it was just cool to be able to sit here and like watch a person make empanadas, and like me be in New York City, I don't know where she was, but it was cool. Yeah. So no, Twitch is obviously very important to me in many facets of my life.
Yeah. You're either in the real plane flying, streaming yourself, or in someone's chat talking about flying. So you clearly love aviation, which we'll get to. But so right now, what is kind of the current state of CitationMax? And then we'll go back in time and kind of backtrack and see how we got here. But what are you doing right now? What's your kind of day-to-day, week to week life look like?
Sure. So right now, the life of CitationMax is I am in basically SOE, which is supervised operational experience. So when I got my type rating, because it's all in the simulator, and I didn't have, I believe it's 500 hours of multi-turbine PIC time, you have a restriction on your license that says you need some supervised time, which is 25 hours. So right now I've been in the process since we picked up the airplane on 2 weeks ago of getting the time, and been just flying, kind of doing some stuff with my dad, doing some cool trips with Ty and a couple of buddies actually from Twitch, and trying to get that done before we can start. I can start flying single pilot and kind of having more kind of free reign on what we're gonna do.
Okay, cool. Now, streaming wise, what's you've got a YouTube channel, you've got a Twitch stream. How do those fit into your daily activities?
So Twitch is obviously, I'm much more of a viewer now than I am a streamer, as much as I love to stream. For me, streaming is, if I have a couple hours of free time, first thing that pops in my brain is I want to stream. Like, there's just no other way about it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately now, like, my schedule's super busy. So I try and look at my schedule a week out and be like, so I think on Tuesday afternoon at like 2:45, I have like 2 hours. I'm going to stream that day. I'm doing it. So I really don't have a stream schedule right now, but whenever I can stream, I stream. I've been loving the Pocket Rocket, as many of you guys know. So I've been kind of addicted to that recently. So yeah, streaming is a kind of whenever I can.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a streaming schedule at some point once I kind of get done with SOE and flying kind of calms down. I hope to be able to do that. But that's kind of my Twitch stuff. My YouTube stuff is I actually officially changed the logos now. So we are officially CitatioMax logo now on YouTube, which we're very happy about. So very nice. Ty actually helped me with that yesterday, which was super cool with him. So we're now CitationMax on YouTube officially. And yeah, we actually did our first video yesterday recording in the airplane. So that was
nice.
So we're getting ready for the first CitationMax video, which will be very, very exciting. Which, a sneak peek, we're going into a big Bravo airport, and there's some cool stuff that happens, and we'll leave it at. So yes, that's kind of the life of CitationMax, kind of converting from CitatioMax, and kind of getting kind of videos done and trying to just record as much as I can. I mean, even when when I don't have 6 cameras in the plane, I just want to have 1 camera up and just get B-roll, because I can use B-roll kind of whenever.
Yeah.
Because that's, as many guys know, B-roll is king. So yeah, that's kind of the life of CitationMax now, and what we're doing.
Okay, sweet. So you've got Citation, which you fly for your dad, for his company's family plane. You've got a Twitch stream, which you get to when you can, but you're just like we said, you're involved in every aviation Twitch stream, and then you got the YouTube channel. And then we'll come back to the CitatioMax, CitationMax transition and everything. But like, in general, where did aviation start for you?
So it's actually kind of a funny story. I'm the only pilot in my whole family. Like, no one ever thought that there would ever be a pilot in the Weldon family. My dad, so I grew up in England. I was born and raised in England. And our house used to be underneath the Heathrow arrival path. So ever since I was a little kid, I would always be outside in the garden, kind of watching planes kind of fly and stuff. And my dad lives on an airplane ever since I was 0.
Yeah.
And I always used to sit outside and be like, "Mommy, is that Daddy's airplane coming over?" And she'd be like, "Yeah, that's his airplane. Yeah, and it was not his airplane. It was like some random, from like wherever coming in." And it kind of became this love for me of aviation from when I was, 0. I remember one of my few memories is me outside in our garden with a soccer ball or football back then in England, and watching planes fly in. And I remember I used to be so upset when they would change and land east on the nines, because I was like, what if they're not low anymore? They're going the other direction. This is terrible. I remember I used to be in tears with my mom. I would run inside, like, they changed the arrival path. So that was kind of how it started for me. And then it kind of turned into, I remember this vividly. I must have been 7 or 8, and I was basically the equivalent of GameStop in England. I forgot whatever it was called. And there was FS 2004. And it was next to like a first person shooter game. So obviously didn't think it was, whatever. It was like 1 copy left. And I remember, and I was like, Mom, I really can I get this? And she's like, it has an airplane on it. You'll probably love it. Sure, let's get it. And I remember I went home and I had FS 2004 and I had a keyboard and a mouse. And I started thinking I should be able to fly an airplane. I could not fly an airplane with a keyboard and mouse. It's just impossible. I'm sorry, guys. People that do it, I give you credit, because it was not a pleasant image. And I remember I went to my mom. I said, I really love it. I think this could be really cool. I can't do this. Can I get a cheap CH product, little plastic, kind of stick thing? And I remember we ordered on the Amazon equivalent back then. And it came, and I was so excited, and I started flight simming, with a default airplane. And then I felt how can I make it more immersive? So I started getting British Airways flights and departing when they were going to depart, and all sorts of stuff like that. And it just started this love of aviation from that point on the simming point of view. And then I just kind of got more and more into it. And then we moved to America, and onwards, it kind of all became, much more of a serious thing once I got older. But that's
and how old were you when that was happening?
So I was 7 when I started probably flight simming, and then I moved to America when I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I feel old. Yeah. No, I do. I was I don't know.
Time flies, man. Literally in your case.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of how aviation kind of started for me. And then it kind of progressed on to when I was in my teenage years. I remember I was 17. And I said, Mom, I really want to try flying. I can't just be a sim pilot. As much as I love sim pilots, I really want to see if I can do this. And I was thinking in my head, there's no way that I could ever become a pilot. It's too hard. I mean, it's just no way. You can't become a pilot. It's impossible, right? And I said to myself one day, I remember lying in bed, and I said, I want to give it a shot. I just want to try. I might fail, sure, but I want to give it a shot. And, we went to the airport, this little airport in Farmingdale, and there was a bunch of 172. And my mom, I will never forget this. I turned as she walked out to the ramp. I looked at her, and her face was white. And I said, Mo, what's the matter? And she said, you're not flying in that. I mean, the thing is tiny and small. It's going to fall out the sky. There's no way. We're leaving. It's over. And, she put her foot down. And when moms put their foot down, it's over. There's just no going back.
Yeah. Good luck changing that mind.
It's impossible. But I was determined to figure out a way to get myself in an airplane. And I was Googling safest airplanes, mom approved airplanes, every possible thing I tried to do. And that's how I found the Cirrus. And it had a parachute. And I was like, has a parachute? How does that even work? I don't even care. I just want to find an airport that has this airplane, a Cirrus at that point. And I want to take my mom there, because if that's the only plane possible that I think I could even remotely get her to approve it, would be this plane. And I know, I'm serious though. I mean,
that is that's like some Spider-Man origin story stuff right there, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I remember this, we went to the airport, and she's like, just so you know, I'm going to see the plane, and I'm not going to like it. We're going to go home. I said, okay, sure. We'll keep mom in a good mood until we get to the airport. And we got there, and it was this really kind of cool FBO. I'm like, okay, this is a good step. I'm liking where this is going. We walk upstairs, and we sit down with the general manager, who's such a nice guy. And I said, listen, I said to mom, my mom went to the bathroom. I said, she's a tough sell. She's really tough. We're going to have to really massage this one to make sure that she loves this. Can you please, whatever you can do, sell her. Yeah. And so when she came back in, he said, you know what, Jane, my mom's name. And he said, let's go out to the ramp. I want to show you these planes. And we went out to the ramp, and she said, I kind of like this. That looks safe. And she didn't know like what, safe looked like, but she just, it looks safe. And she said to me, you can start one time a week. And that's all you're going to, that's it. One time a week. I think partially because she thought it was expensive and dad would never go for this. Because at this point, my dad didn't want me to do flying lessons because he thought it was too dangerous. Okay. This was this was under the radar. This was just me and my mom, kind of like stashing away money. Yeah, it was kind of funny. And I started doing it and loving it. I mean, I remember just incredible. And eventually we told dad and it kind of, progressed from there. And that's a whole different story from kind of how my career's progressed. But that was kind of me from 7 years old at like GameStop equivalent in London to getting to finally being able to get an airplane at 17, 18. And it's kind of it was just a wild ride. I mean, so many ups and downs in between that, but that was kind of me going from the beginning to kind of where the start of Max's kind of pilot, whatever thing started.
So when so Cirrus, like was it 99 when the first Cirrus came out? It was pre-2000, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 97.
Okay.
I don't know. But
so they had been out. I mean, it wasn't like it was a brand new thing when at the time that you're doing this. It was been established and they were kind of outside of that initial like accident prone little curve that they had.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, there was no training. People, would have an alternator failure, and they would just pull the parachute.
Yeah.
Because no one knew. They saw a little message like, "Oh my God, I'm going down." Parachute.
Yeah.
And once they got over that, the crashes and all that kind of stuff went down, and it became a really really safe airplane. It definitely was a proven airplane, and that was she saw the parachute, she saw the airplane, and it was like, okay, let's do this. This works.
I mean, to be fair, it does look safer than a 172.
It does. I don't know why it does, but it does.
It does.
I completely agree. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a Volvo. It's just it looks like a nice S-Class, like a car, like a sturdy. It's bigger.
Just sturdy.
Yeah.
Yep. It's sturdy. For me, it's like, as everyone knows, I'm like, I love glass cockpits. Mm-hmm. So it has glass. It's so I was like, this is the safest airplane. It has glass cockpits, new age. I was selling it really, really hard. It was awesome. But no, it's super great airplane. And, all my training was, I didn't fly a 172 until I had 1,000 hours.
Really?
Yep. And the first time I was in a 172, I was with Ty, and it was two big guys, and it was 95 degrees out. And let me tell you something. I don't know if I would go in a 172 again. We were like 15 degrees pitched up. We're climbing out at like VY, and it's hot. I'm drenched in sweat, and like it was an awesome experience. And Ty was obviously a great pilot, but it was definitely not a Cirrus. You definitely felt less sturdy.
No air conditioning is a little bit of a change.
Well, yeah, Ty's like, open the window. I'm like, what do you mean open the window? That's a thing?
Every 172 comes standard with air conditioning. You just pop open that window.
And it's fresh. It's really fresh air.
Really clean air.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a little bit about kind of the transition to how I got into Cirrus.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's like a clear, distinct, like, I have a problem, Cirrus solves it, here we go. Do you recall like the moment that you thought it was possible to do that as a job, to fly a plane?
As a job. So this is kind of, I don't think many people know about this. After I got my private, I was so wiped out. I mean, I was just, the training, it just, not that it was hard, it just was much more than I thought. It was just a lot. It was a lot of information. As you know, it's a lot of information to keep in your brain when you don't really know what to expect. Mm-hmm. E6Bs and nav logs. I'm like, oh my God. And after I got my private, I was so excited. I was like, I'm done. It's over. I'm done. I got my private. I can go down the Hudson River. I can go on a nice VFR data month. It's over. It's all I need. And then I remember this flight vividly when I went with two friends. We went bowling up in Providence, Rhode Island at this discotheque bowling alley. And we went up, and it was the TAF was showing like 8,000 overcast throughout the whole period. And I'm like, oh, great. We'll go at 55 or 35, whatever. We got plenty of, we get up there and nice. It was fine. And I could kind of see the atmosphere changing and stuff was kind of, I could feel it. Something was not right. and we played bowling, and then we got, as we were on our Uber back to the airport, it was 4,500 feet overcast. I'm like, okay, this is fine. And on our way back, it got down to 4,000. We were at 3,000 feet, and it was totally fine, and obviously legal, and we had plenty of room. But I remember that feeling when I landed back at White Plains, and I had that uncertainty of when everything said 8,000 and it was 4,000. I didn't feel comfortable after that, not knowing that, hey, if it had gone down to 3,000, I would have to go down to 2,000, or I'd have to land at an airport and wait for it to get better. And I knew after that, from a safety point of view, I needed to get my instrument rating, because if I'm going to fly with my mom, if I'm going to fly with friends, that's what matters. It's 100% safety is the most important thing. So that's when I decided. I remember that night I texted my instructor and I said, when are we starting instrument training? We got to get this done. And luckily at that point, I had 40 hours of actual time with my instructor, because we had done a bunch of cross-country trips and stuff. So I felt really, really good in the soup and all that stuff.
Cool.
And I started studying and for the written exam, which was
actual instrument time.
Actual instrument time. We had done about 70 hours after my private of cross-country time. Okay. And it was all IMC shooting approaches. Like, I felt really good in the system.
Yeah, cool.
And so I decided, and all the requirements were pretty much done, because you had all that cross-country time and all my solos and stuff.
Yeah.
So I remember I went on Shepherd Air, got the written done within a week and a half. And then we did 4 lessons, instrument lessons, and then I went for the check ride. And after that, I knew, okay, I can do this. This is doable. I can pass an instrument rating. Cool. And then I kind of said, you know what? I am like this rookie 250-hour pilot, and everyone's telling me I'm in the danger zone. Young, 250 hours.
Yeah.
They're thinking he's some hotshot pilot or whatever. Like, I need to get some experience before I even think about, going anywhere else, or doing this for a living. Because it was starting to kind of creep up on me that, like, I really freaking love this. Like, this is cool. Like, what's better than this?
Yeah.
And so I decided, how am I going to build time, or how am I going to gain experience for me to even consider doing this as a career? And that's when I found a company called Angel Flight, because I didn't want to become an instructor. So the Angel Flight was a charity that, if no one knows about this, up in Boston, where they transport mostly cancer patients to and from treatment facilities that can't afford either travel, they're too sick, or whatever it might be.
They're unbelievable. I mean, the stuff that they do is really, really cool.
It's an incredible organization. There's, I think, 6 different kind of zones across the country. Mm-hmm. And I was doing 3 a week. So after I was going to college full time, I then changed to part-time at NYU. And I decided that I want to do NYU, part-time and then Angel Flights. And I was doing 3 a week.
Wow.
6 to 8 hours, each Angel Flight. I mean, I would stack them back 2, 3 in a row.
Wow. In the Cirrus, right?
In the Cirrus, yep. So first off, I was renting, and then from a cost-effective point of view, it made more sense to own a 22 if the direction I was going was to build time, because at White Plains to rent an SR-22, it's almost $500 an hour. I mean, it's just nuts. It's and that's Hobb. It's not even TAC. Yeah. So from a cost point of view, it made total sense. So I was obviously blessed and fortunate that my dad was on board for me to kind of go in this direction. And we that's how we got, 595 Mike Whiskey, which I call ex-girlfriend. That's what I call.
Oh, that's your nickname for her?
Ex-girlfriend. Yeah. And so we did 700 hours almost the first year of doing Angel Flights. I mean, I was flying my butt off.
Wow. And so how many did you get in the first year altogether?
In the first year? Oh, how many Angel Flight? Oh, I must.
Or no, like how many hours did you get in the plane total? Like not like including non-Angel Flights.
We probably did. So probably did 200 in a rental, then 500. Yeah, we did a lot. I do not even know.
I mean, it was pushing 1,000 probably.
Yeah, we probably did 1,000. And I mean, I met some incredibly the people that do these Angel Flights, are so motivating. And I mean, it made me a better person. I think it made me more an adult, seeing these people having these, serious illnesses and being so strong. I mean, it was super moving. So we did that. And And then I kind of got to 1,000 hours, or I think I was at like 900 hours. Said, I think we can work together. I think this could work. And I said, what do you mean, Dad? And he said, I think I'm going to start using you for the family business. I think I can get to here quicker. I can get here. I don't need to go to an airport. And keep in mind, my dad had never flown with me one time before he's about to, basically hire me to work to be his pilot. Right?
Really? Wow.
And I said, Dad, shouldn't you like fly with me at least once before I become your pilot? He said, no, I trust you. And I said, I was thinking, well, okay, let's see where this goes. And my mom was kind of, had become a Cirrus focused, kind of loved the Cirrus, and I was kind of that Cirrus, all into it. So that was kind of how the Cirrus jet kind of came about. And I had to get to 1,000 hours before I could fly the Cirrus jet for insurance purposes and all that kind of stuff. So it kind of worked out well because we were able to buy a position to then I had a little bit of time to wait so I could get some more experience. And then, then we kind of got into, the Vision Jet, and then all that kind of madness started. So, but that was kind of what kind of translated into kind of me building all my time and me becoming, realizing that I could do this, realizing that this was a possibility, realizing that I can become a commercial pilot. Like I can pass check rides. I can do this. And that for me was probably the most gratifying thing out of everything, was seeing in myself that there was obstacles, there was challenges. I excluded myself from all my friends. Yeah. I had in the books. I mean, it's a pretty grueling process. It's tough. Yeah. And I did it. And after I got through my commercial ratings, the multi and single, I kind of came to the realization that I could study for an exam. I could pass an exam. I know it works for me. It's probably very dysfunctional and wouldn't work for anyone else, but I figured out, I figured out a way to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going for it. I'm going for it. Like, what if I crash and burn, that's fine, but I'm going big. And that was kind of how from zero to kind of where it all started for me to pursue the professional pilot, kind of thing, was how I got there.
And how long did that take? Like, what was that process from? I mean, like, when was that first lesson in the Cirrus? And it was a 22 that you originally started on, or was it a 20?
It was a 20. So
20,
I did.
Okay.
They wouldn't. The flight school I learned at, they wouldn't let anyone train or even be private pilot certified in a 22. Okay. You have to have your instrument rating. So I did all my training in a 20, and then I didn't fly a 22 until I had 250 hours.
Okay.
So everything was in a 20. My first lesson, I remember this vividly. I was, my instructor met this, this guy walks in, and this young guy, right? And I'm like, oh, this young guy, this young instructors, you think instructors are all like 70 and military and all that, right? And I remember I said this guy and shook my hand, I said, oh, what's your experience? And I said, I don't have any experience. I mean, I've been flight simming for like 10 years, He's like, oh, yeah, I've heard of some people that do flight sim. I don't really know much about it, though. And I remember we said, oh, this is what we're going to do today. And we go downstairs, we get in the plane. And I said, he's like, oh, this is what the ATIS is. And do you know what the ATIS is? I said, yeah, no, I know what the ATIS is. We can figure it out. And I said, do you mind if I talk on the radios? He said, yeah, we don't do, yeah, no. Like, it doesn't really work like that. Like, how do you, like, do you know what, like, that taxi sign is? Like, Kilo or Lima or, like, KLZR? And I said to him, and he was super, he's become a great friend, one of my really closest friends now. And I said, dude, I got this. And I remember I got the West ATIS tuned in 33.8, and it was like ATIS, whatever. And I was like, Cirrus, blah, blah, at Millionaire Taxi. And it was like 34 via Kilo Lima. And he looked at me. He's like, what the hell? Like, what? Like, what's going on? And he said, we're going to change what we're going to do right now. We were going to go out to the east and kind of do some stuff over Long Island Sound. Nothing there. He's like, you know what? We're going to do the Hudson Corridor. That was my first flight ever. And he's like, you're going to do everything. You're going to work the radios. You're going to do everything. I want to see what you got.
That's badass.
And yeah, and we took off and we went towards, got a Bravo. And I remember this. I was my first lesson. I'm going down the Hudson River over the Statue of Liberty, talking to New York Tower, LaGuardia Tower. I'm like this. If I was sold before, I am completely sold now, and it's done. And I had, so his name's Kevin, my instructor, and I had him through every rating until my jet rating.
Really, that's awesome.
Because he was, I think, the best pilot I've ever flown with in my life.
Cool.
The best instructor. And he was just, and you know, when you find a good instructor, Brad, and with your previous, like, you just know when they're good. And he is, I mean, I tell this to him, to his face. I said, I don't think I could get here if it wasn't for you, without you. So, and he's a great guy and a great instructor. And he's actually going off to fly Gulfstreams now, which is very exciting.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, so that was kind of my first flight in the Cirrus, and then it kind of, on the third flight, overcast 300. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm dead serious, overcast 300. And he said to me, he sent me a text, he's like, dude, it's going to be, but let's do an instrument flight. Why not, right? I'm like,
you need the 3 hours, you need them, you might as well.
Exactly, yeah. And I remember this, we're getting IFR, we're in the soup, and he's like, how you feeling? I'm like, dude, I'm feeling great. Got a departure, see ya. It was, and it was, I loved it. Yeah, it was super, super cool. And that was kind of how it all started for me.
So, I mean, this wasn't that long ago. I mean, like 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
My first flight lesson was July of 2015.
July of 2015. Okay.
So what's that?
So we're coming up on 4 years.
Coming up on 4 years. Yeah.
Okay. So you were, all that radio work was on Pilot Edge.
Yeah. So
and VATSIM to some extent, maybe? Not really.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, hold that thought for 1 second. I gotta turn my AC on because I live in my parents' attic and it's hot. Sorry. No, it's okay. Yeah, you have to. There's an AC and you have to bang it a couple times. Anyway, so yes, very, very sophisticated house here. So where were? Sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second.
Yeah, it was on VATSIM and Pilot Edge.
Okay, so I started on Pilot Edge when I was 15.
Oh, okay, wow.
Which, as many people know, that's totally illegal. Sorry, Keith. And sorry, Peter. Sorry, Tim. And so that many people don't know. And I remember the first time I flew on Pilot Edge, it was not a good experience, let's just say. I mean, I was completely lost. I did 757 from Las Vegas to LAX. And I mean, dude, I didn't know what the hell was going on.
That sounds like a good 15-year-old move, though.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, that's straight out of the playbook.
And then the next flight was LAX to Vegas on the loop, which is an old departure, and it's a hard left turn. And I'm like, oh, my FMC can do it perfectly. Hard right turn. I'm like, oh my God, next thing, controller, you're making a right turn. And after that, I said, you know what? I don't like not being good at something. It's just the thing of mine. I'm a perfectionist. I don't like doing something, that I'm not good at. So I took 6 months off. I never logged back on. And I said, I want to learn how to do this properly. And I listened to live ATC every day, YouTube videos, how to do SIDS and stars and all that stuff. And I went back on 6 months later after I got an email from Keith being like, do you have a chart in front of you? And I went on 6 months later, and I don't think he knew I was 15 at the time.
Yeah.
And I was
Did you use your manly voice like, "Hey, this is Max"?
I definitely did have a little taxi out of 6. And I went back on 6 months later, and they probably didn't even remember me. I probably had like 2 strikes on my thing, but whatever. And there was never one issue, and that's where it all started. It all started for me from when I was 16. I was doing it every night after school, dude. I mean, every night, 4 hours a night. I mean, Keith has lost so much money on me. It's not even funny because I have flown on that way more than how they adjust the pricing. And it has got me from being a sim pilot to a real world pilot. I mean, there's no question about it. And I know, everyone always says, pilot just really helped, but it's the truth. It is. From what, seeing your progression as a pilot, it's night and day.
Yeah.
So that's what's helped me, and that's kind of how I started flying on Pilot Edge. And I joined a virtual airline on Pilot Edge, and I was then the chief recruiting officer for that virtual airline. I was very, very proud of that title. Had a business card too. It was awesome. And actually, I didn't, but I wish I did. And that is how I met. Kind of going in a different direction here, but that's how I met a lot of my close friends.
Yeah.
Ty, Ben, a lot of the Chevy and Ben Uber and all. I go on for 15 different guys. Chris, everyone. Josh. And that is how I met everyone. And then that's kind of how this whole thing has kind of, culminated to where we are now. But I mean, Pilot has been great, and it's helped me to kind of where I've become now. I mean, 100%. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it's a quick progression. That is definitely a quick progression.
Yeah.
When did you start streaming? Like, at what point did you say, I can broadcast this and have a little more fun?
So I never thought that I would be a streamer. Bill, do you hear that in the background, the echo?
No.
There's like an echo in the background.
I'll try to turn that down a little bit.
All right, there you go.
Are you echoing?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is that a little better?
Good now. Yeah, it's better.
Okay, cool.
A little, still a little bit there, but that's as long as it's good. I don't care.
Okay.
So, all right, where were we?
Streaming.
Okay, streaming. So, yes. So, streaming, I never thought that I would be a streamer. I never did. What happened was a couple of my buddies, I started watching Josh, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, I'm watching my buddy stream fake airplanes on the internet while I'm having a TV dinner made by my mom, and it was awesome. And I said, I'm not funny, I'm not interesting, all those things. I'm just, and those guys are really cool, like, they're awesome. And I'm like, no, it's fine. And then they all pushed me to, especially Josh. I was like, dude, you gotta stream. You just have to. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Do it. And I bought like a crappy Logitech, webcam. And I still had my CH product yoke back then and pedals. And I just, one time I said, what name should I use? Like, I'm terrible at names. And Josh was like, well, you fly a Cirrus, your name's Max. Yeah, see if Cirrus Max is there. Why not? And it was. And I just went, I selected it and all that stuff. And then I downloaded OBS or whatever it was back then. And I just hit live and kind of winged it. And my audio was terrible. It's still kind of bad now. But anyway, it's did that. And, I just kind of made it work. And I started really loving it. I got a second monitor. I got a better mic. And it just kind of became a oasis for me to kind of, as you kind of know, get out of your head. You have a crazy day at work or whatever, life, girlfriends, wives, whatever, stress. And you can kind of stream. And, first off, you have some great people who watch us, as you know. Fantastic people that I learn from every time I stream.
Yeah.
But it's just a super enjoyable process for me to do. And, I don't care if there's 10 people or 100 people watching. I love doing it. And, when more people show up, like I love it because at least I'm doing something right and they enjoy being here, But for me, it's just, I have a policy. If I'm not in a good mood or I'm not feeling it, I won't stream, because the last thing, if I was a viewer, is to watch someone stream if they weren't in a good mood or didn't want to be there. Because as I tell everyone, it's like you don't want to watch anyone that you wouldn't want to watch.
Yeah.
Or, it's just, you don't want to be that person. So that's kind of how it got me into streaming, and I just started loving it and met great friends. And I was very blessed and fortunate to get people that supported me, Ty, and, back then John Fly would give me hosts, and Josh, and, all sorts of my friends. And it kind of, I think, helped me boost me a little bit, and kind of got me, to kind of where I am. And, I enjoy doing it. I love being a part of this community, as kind of what we spoke about in the beginning. I'm probably too, involved, too much in chats, and probably when I should be doing other things. Sorry, Dad. But I love it. It's a great kind of oasis and a happy place for me to be a part of.
That crew makes it so easy to want to spend more time in it.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is so supportive. There's, very, very, very little ego and, like, siloing. It's just, whatever you enjoy doing. If I mean, some people just do things that aren't your taste, whether it's GA versus two-liner stuff. But like that aside, it's just like everyone's super supportive of everybody.
Yep. I mean, for me, personally, when I watch people, it's not really the plane. It's them. I want to watch
Absolutely.
Because if I'm watching someone because they're flying a cool airplane, then I'm watching them because they're flying a cool airplane, not because I actually like watching them. And it's like you have to do what you love to do. Like you, like I never used to watch exclusively GA streams, but because I like you and I enjoy watching you, I like 44444 Foxtrot Golf. You know what I mean? No, but it's the truth, and that's a great example. Like I jets and 40,000 feet, done deal. But when you like the person, that's key because you have to like the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the point. Yeah.
And everyone is so likable in this community. In aviation in general, it's not just the streaming stuff. It's you go to the airport, you go to fly-ins, you go to the airport cafe. They could be in a Grumman Tiger or a multi-million-dollar jet, and they're just all pilots. Like everyone's kind of all on the same plane. And coming from the automotive industry, that is just night and day from what I was used to.
Yeah.
And you'd be shunned if you had anything that was, like not one of the cool kids.
And what's interesting about the aviation industry, it's actually really, really small. Like you think it's this really big, but everyone knows everyone. Like it's a really interesting thing. I mean, there's a story I tell the whole time, but there was someone that was working for a helicopter company in New York, huge helicopter company. And he did something that maybe he shouldn't have. And the owner was there and he saw him do this. It wasn't unsafe, but just he shouldn't have done it. And that helicopter guy could never get another job flying a helicopter. And it's a great example of doing the right thing, being safe, doing that stuff, but how small this, industry is and how much having a good reputation is key. You know what I mean? It's just how it is. So it's a great, thing. I mean, I love going to the airport early and there's the old guys on the couch there at the FBO being like, what are you flying today, Max? You need a second pilot? I don't want to go home to my wife, all that kind of thing. And it's awesome. I love it, and there's a great guy who's 78 or almost 80 now. And he actually owns an SR-22. And if it's sketchy conditions, he'll be like, Max, can you come up with me? And he tells stories of like when he used to fly, to Atlantic City to play cards on his lunch break from the stock, his big stockbroker city, and that's the aviation, community from the real point of view. It's great people, enthusiastic. They just love talking about airplanes. And as you know me, I could talk about airplanes all day, every day. So it's a wonderful place in the community to be a part of, from the sim to the real world. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's just talk airplanes. Let's make this like the Gone with the Wind of podcasts and just talk endlessly.
Yeah, no, there's nothing better. I mean, it's funny. If I ever go like, on dates with girls or whatever, right? I'll say, like, listen, you got to stop if I'm talking about airplanes too much. Just please, just tell them, just Max, stop, and most of the time they're like, no, it's so interesting. Like, just keep talking about it. Cause like they don't know anything, but I can just talk about airplanes the whole time. Cause I love it. Yeah.
Well, they're definitely, I mean, like in a date situation, there's definitely, no matter what it is, like if you're talking about your fantasy football team or cars or planes, there's like a level. But just like the streaming thing, I think people, whether it's a date situation or just anybody, just enjoy talking to somebody about something they're super passionate about.
Absolutely. No, 100%. And that's what flying is you don't really do flying. You don't become a pilot, in my opinion, if you're not passionate about it. Because it's too hard to get there, to get your license if you're not passionate about it. So that's what I love is there's not that I've ever encountered fake pilots or guys that have kind of faked it to get there, because you got to put in the work to get to the point where you have to enjoy it.
You can't fake it.
No. And that's why I love this, being a part of the industry and the community because of that reason.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very well put. Okay, so when your dad says, which is interesting too, that he was the one that came up with that idea to fly for him. You had purchased the 22 at that point?
So we had purchased the 22 for me just to build. And I think it was for him, he started as, if Max wants to do this, it's going to be a career thing and he needs hours. And I think kind of subconsciously, he had kind of gotten in his head that if Max gets to 1,000 hours, I'm gonna use him. But he has to show me that he's gonna be able to put in the hard work and grind and get that time, fly his butt off to get there. And I think once he saw that, and me getting up at 5 a.m. to go do 5 Angel flights and not be back until 1 a.m. And as many people know, just to go off topic, like flying is amazing. It's great. But when you're doing it 3, 4, 5 times a week, 8 to 10 hours a day, it becomes a job. You sometimes think like, hey, I don't really want to go to the airport right now because I got to fly. And it was, I think, him seeing me grind to do that, I think really proved to him that I was kind of made to do this. This is what I'm going to do. This is my thing. Mm-hmm. And when he saw that and I got to 1,000 hours and all that close to that, I think he realized that we're going to go in the right direction. And that's when the whole Vision Jet stuff started.
Okay. So when he approached you about flying for him, you had the 22 and you never flew him or flew on behalf of the company in the 22. It was solely with the jet.
Correct. Yep. Okay.
So what was that process like, going from, you've got this 22 that you've just flown the wings off of. Mm-hmm. You guys mutually said, okay, let's do this. What was step 2 after let's do this?
So step 2 was, the plane, the mission, what is it going to be?
Okay.
And it was mostly, my dad has some stuff in Boston, some stuff in Texas, and kind of spread out, there's some stuff, Bermuda, he has an office there and all sorts of good stuff like that. My mom has some stuff for animal charities down in the South, and the Vision Jet kind of couldn't do Bermuda because it was obviously for fuel stuff but for some of the internal stuff, it was a good airplane. We knew Cirrus, they were a good thing. But there were 600 positions that were, to get this airplane, it was just so backed up. Mm-hmm. So that's when you have to go and look at positions and trying to get a decent deal of getting in and all that kind of stuff. And that was the next step, was getting a position and then got a position, and then we kind of figured out when delivery was going to be, and then basically send the books and I have to start studying. So that was kind of how we got there.
Okay. Now, like, obviously with, hindsight the way it is, how much of that decision to go with the Cirrus jet, how much of that was that you had a relationship with Cirrus, and how much of that was this is just the right plane?
I think in hindsight, it was more we knew Cirrus. Okay. It probably in hindsight was not the right plane.
Yeah.
In hindsight. But we knew Cirrus. We liked the Cirrus. The 22 was so good for us. It was just a solid, safe, just a great airplane. And I think just kind of, my dad's always about kind of a cool thing, new technology, had V-tail, and it was a super cool airplane. And I think that was kind of more what got into it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a crazy real jet from a monetary point of view also. So my dad liked that, and it just kind of, it worked. So I think that was kind of, why we, chose the Vision Jet.
Yeah. So once you got the Vision Jet, you got in your, what'd you call it, in your place in line for the production?
The position.
Okay. So you got your position, you waited for production basically. You were waiting for the plane to be built while you're studying. You take delivery of the plane. What happens then? So you're essentially working as your dad's pilot.
Yep. So I got typed in the airplane. We took delivery. I did my mentorship. So that was another 25 hours I had to do because it was all in the simulator.
Okay.
Got that done. And we did a couple trips to Boston Logan in the Vision Jet, which, everything went smooth. I could see my dad was maybe not as enthusiastic as I was hoping, maybe. Not from a flying point of view, but just there was little things that he kept kind of mentioning to me that he didn't like, or that he would have preferred it have or did not have. But it was kind of all worked out. It was fine. Everything was going well.
It's very much like just a large GA plane.
Yeah, that's totally fair. It is. It applies to the SR-22 pilot that wants that next step up, right?
Yeah.
And most SR-22 pilots are not very good. So it's a nice logical step up. But what the culmination of, so we did, I think it was 6 or 7 trips to Boston and DC and a bunch of stuff like that. And then Thanksgiving of this past year, he was coming in from Japan to LAX, and he wanted me to fly the Vision Jet out to LAX.
Mm-hmm. I remember that trip.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It was Aspen, and it was cool.
Yeah.
And we went to go pick him up. My mom flew in with him and all that good stuff. And we picked him up at LAX, and we took off, and we went out to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And we were out there for a couple of days, and we flew back into Phoenix to drop him off because he had to go. I don't know. He was going somewhere. I don't forget where it was. And we got back, and my mom, first off, Phoenix that day was the busiest I've ever seen any airport in my life. I mean, it was incredible. And I think him seeing me work in that environment just kind of blew him away. And I'm not even sure what I did that was that special on that flight, but just, he had his headphones on, he was listening, he was watching, it was just, he was so immersed in it.
Cool.
And we got out, and he said to my mom, wow, that was impressive. And, I greased the landing too, which is far and few between. So that was a nice one too, but that helped the cause.
Always helps.
But we got back to New York, and he kind of said, the headset, he doesn't like wearing a headset because it's very loud, the Vision Jet. It's inside the cabin. It's very, very loud. And, little things, from having no blinds and just, little things like that that the business traveler, it affects, right?
Yeah. Well, it's things that, like, if you have a jet, I mean, in his case, he owned a private jet and was missing some of the private jettiness of that experience.
Absolutely. There was that 100% agreed, and he was on board with that. And also the plane was having some maintenance issues, which it was the heat would take 30 minutes to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
There was just some stuff. And the plane is so new that even the service center that you would call to say, hey, we're having this issue, why is it doing that? They wouldn't know. So you ended up having to talk to the guy that actually built the actual part for that plane. I mean, the actual guy that built the part. And it was just incredible to me that, and so there was starting to become some maintenance stuff. And my dad called me and said, this was in early December, after the Thanksgiving trip, he said, I think I'm sold on you being my pilot because I think you're just terrific. And I think there's 2 things I want you to try and figure out. And if you can't do both of them, we're not selling. One was you need to sell the Vision Jet. And 2, you need to sell the Vision Jet and not lose a penny. And I said, that's going to be really hard because you can't sell an airplane that has 150 hours on it and not lose any money. I mean, it's like buying a car. You leave the showroom. I mean, the thing is 30% down. I mean, it doesn't work like that. And I said, well, what? My first reaction was, what? I love the Vision Jet. It's such a cool airplane. Like, obviously it has its issues, but everything has its stuff, right? I mean, it just, and he's like, just see. So I called a friend of mine. He was actually my kind of a mentorish kind of person, and who's very connected in the aviation industry. I said, listen, my dad, I think in our family, it's not doing the mission that we need it to do. What are the options? And he said, and he said, well, are you willing to lose on? Because he knows my dad doesn't want to lose a penny. And my dad's, no, we can't lose a penny. And he said, oh my God. He's like, well, he's going to have to, lose, And I said, then when it's not going to sell. So anyway, nothing happens. And 4 days later, I get a call. He says, I have someone. I said, what do you mean you have someone? He's like, I have someone that's going to buy your Vision Jet. And I said, what? Like, he's like, yeah, he's ready to go right now. I said, whoa, what do you mean he's ready to go right now? I said, it doesn't work like that. He's like, yeah, ready to go. He said, but you're going to take a little bit of a loss. I said, well, that's not going to work. Bye-bye. And long story short, a day later, another guy comes in, and now there's a bidding war. I mean, we're 5 days in. We didn't even put on the market. This is not an official sale. This was like an under, kind of, hey, this is for sale kind of thing. Do you want it?
Yeah.
And knock on wood, praise the aviation gods that had made this happen. We were actually able to make a little bit of money actually on the airplane, which was, I got some brownie points from my dad on that one.
Nice.
And, but then we got to the point where we didn't have an airplane. And I needed to fix that problem because my dad had a trip, in 2 months or whenever it was. And I need to either tell him, hey, we're getting an airplane and we're going to get an amazing deal on it because my dad's all about deals, or like, I can't sell the Vision Jet. And my friend had a very good connection with Textron Aviation. And he reached out to them and they said, so we have someone that's looking at selling a Vision Jet. They said, well, who is he? Because they're all about, Cessna and Textron is all about the person and the family, and not about just, hey, and he said, oh, he's the guy who would be flying it's 23, good stick, and he would be flying for his parents. And they said, oh, okay, what kind of plane did he fly before that? And, Vision Jet, okay, Vision Jet. Now we're getting someone in a site. Ooh, okay. This is they like that, right?
They like the upgrade path.
They like the upgrade path because that is a huge deal for them.
Yeah.
And then my friend, he said he also has a YouTube channel. And I said, oh, it's like, and he actually is pretty popular. And so next thing I know, they went and looked on it apparently, and they came back and said, ooh, we like him. How about if we do a PR deal also in there? And we'll give you a great deal on the airplane. And there's one in 6 weeks ready for delivery. When can we sign? And that happened in like a day.
Jeez.
I was doing a PR deal. I have to go for type in like 3 weeks. We're selling the Vision Jet. And I'm serious. This all happened in like a week. I mean, it was the craziest stressful. I mean, I was on the phone 10 times a day because my dad is traveling for work and doesn't have time for this. And, I have to, obviously everything has to be run by him, but all the micro stuff, is me because I'm technically an employee of his company.
Yeah.
And I remember, so we got it all done, and it was kind of a surreal moment before I'd even gone for type that we had sold the Vision Jet, and now I'm going to be flying a freaking Citation. And I remember lying in bed a couple nights when we signed, and it was like, how the freak did I get here? How the freak can I do this? Because that was the first question my dad asked the moment before we signed the paperwork. He says, Max, can you do this? Can you pass this type rating? And
you're like, hell yeah, Dad. Caronado's got a Citation, and I fly the crap out of that thing. Let's do it.
Yeah. I said, Dad, I can do it. And then in my head, I thought, oh, crap. I hope I can do it. But I'm going to tell him I can do it because I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my thing. And so we signed, and I remember lying in bed a couple nights after. I'm like, this is going to be pretty nuts. Like, I'm going to work my, butt off to make sure that I pass this thing, because how fortunate and blessed I am to be at my position, being, given these opportunities is unheard of. And I'm not going to let that opportunity pass. And that was kind of what happened. And that was kind of how we got from CitatioMax to CitationMax and my dad and the plane really not fitting my dad's mission, to your point. It was a strictly, in hindsight, we probably shouldn't have gone off the Cirrus jet in the beginning, but we knew Cirrus. And two, the mission, it wasn't fitting the mission, and the deals that with Textron, the level of, just customer service, the airplane, they'd made thousands of these 525 airplanes. It is a proven airplane. And that was all things that we knew that we could trust, and that the missions that we could do in the airplane were a given. There was not going to be any issues, and kind of go for it. And that was kind of what kind of the progression with airplanes kind of took on.
Dude, that's so awesome. In my tiny little corner of the world over here, I remember we, going back and forth with you over trying to do this, and,
Zach, Bill, I can't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You told me about this like a while ago. Trying to, it was kind of like, I was so excited to learn about you personally. Like this is a added bonus for delaying this conversation. But dude, that happened quick.
It happened really quick. I remember when we signed, the next day they have on Textron Aviation, and they use flight safety. And I remember I got an email with my training material. I'm like, I just signed and I got my training material, and it's like thousands of pages. Oh, it was all on my iPad. But the books there are just, stacked. And so you can kind of see you kind of see them on the floor, kind of lined up. And I remember I was like, and I first look at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is not a Cirrus jet. This is a real jet.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I was like, what have I got myself into? I mean, I don't know. What have I done? And it was kind of like that, oh, SH, that moment, and it's just like, okay, deep breath. I can do this. We got this. And that was kind of, what happened. It was quick. I mean, we spoke, and then next thing I know, I was gone. I mean, I was, I was out for Wichita and at Type, and yeah, it was the past couple months have been long and great and stressful and all that stuff. But it's funny. I was telling my mom a couple nights ago at dinner. Yes, I had dinner with my mom, and I said it's really weird not to be studying. Like, it's a really weird thing for me because the past 18 to 24 months, I've been just studying either for commercials, instrument types.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, there's a part of me that still wishes I was studying for something. And I'm in the process right now of, even as I'm flying for my dad and busy, I want to keep learning, because for me, my brain works best when I'm constantly learning. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the process of looking at, it's probably not going to be an aviation thing, but I want to either take a class or learn a language or just something, because it's kind of weird for me. And I never thought I would ever say this as a high school kid that said, I don't want to do my homework, I don't want to study, to now be like, I want to learn something. Like, I need, because it's just a weird feeling for me. I was playing Apex Legends a couple nights ago, and it was weird that I was playing and I was loving it. And I was like, I don't need to know what this emergency procedure means or this means, or I don't need to feel bad that I'm not studying. I can just have fun, And that was super nice, but it also kind of was like, I don't know if I like that. So, that's a little bit of that not many people know about, but I like to learn. I love to learn. It's weird now not studying and kind of having more free time to kind of like, okay, what should I play tonight? I'm looking at my list here. Okay, I could do P3D. I could do, Far Cry. I could do Apex. I could do Black Ops, and it's like, it's a little weird. Yeah.
I'm kind of both obviously really excited for it and also dreading having the PPL done, because I kind of like, I enjoy the learning process so much. I just want to milk it for all it's worth. And I mean, I think part of what makes people interested in aviation is that if you are that into it, you could constantly be learning. You know, whether it's like a new 100%. Plane or like there's no pilot, Bob Hoover on down, that knows everything there is about aviation.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, flying with these mentorship pilots the past couple of weeks, I mean, learning a ton, and not just about the airplane, but about flying. And it's what's nice about, you fly with different people, and they each tell you their tips or tricks and this and that. And there was a couple of things that I was like, I just didn't know that. And it's great. And no, I mean, it is, I always, people make fun of me about, Max doesn't fly a 6-pack. He only flies glass. I really want to start flying 6-packs a little bit on the J side, because I want to learn how to do that, because I don't like having obstacles. Like, I want to be able to fly stuff and learn new stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I'd go fly in 1,000-foot, 2,000-foot ceilings of a 6-pack. I just don't know. So I know it sounds crazy, but I don't know. So I think absolutely. I 100% agree with you with that. It's a great, you're always learning. I mean, there's never, I think if you ever meet someone that says, oh, I know everything in aviation, that person's a fool.
Yeah.
Because it's impossible. Yeah. There's just, as you know, there's too much to know. I mean, this thing cannot handle knowing everything that goes on.
Yeah. And remember, a good pilot is always learning.
Yes, exactly. The best voice command on the internet. Yeah.
So what what would be next? I mean, obviously at this point, presumably, you're going to be flying the Citation, and it's a 525 M2.
Yep. So it's a 525 series, and it's a Citation M2. So It's basically a CJ1 1+ conversion to an M2.
Okay.
So a lot of people think it's the Mustang version 2. But it's a completely different airplane than the Mustang.
Okay.
It's really a CJ1+ that they then got rid of, and they made the M2 a upgraded, newer airplane of that, because the CJ1 Plus was a 525 type rating. So it's the same airframe.
Yeah.
The Mustang is a completely separate type rating, separate systems, different spiel.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So you're pretty much set in that. I mean, your dad's happy with the plane.
Loves it.
And it fits the mission. It's just you're dialed in, so you're kind of in like what's next mode. If you could push a button right now and learn any plane, maybe within reason, like not an F-14, but like something that you could get your hands on realistically, what plane would you fly tomorrow?
Okay, so my dad is done. This is it, right? So if there would be another plane that I would fly, it would be strictly me working for either, a Part 135 or a 91 company. That's a tough one. For me, the plane that I think is the sexiest plane that's ever been made, the Citation 10. I think that plane is
the 10
done.
Yeah.
It's the most sexiest beast I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
There was one at Cessna when I was there. I just stood in front of it for like an hour. I'm just like, this thing's beautiful. And I asked him, because they discontinued it. Yeah. And I said, why did the freak did you guys discontinue the coolest airplane ever? And they said to me, Max, you're 100% right. It is the coolest airplane. But people say it's the coolest airplane, but no one wants to buy it. Yeah. Everyone just says it's cool because it's expensive, it's fast, and it burns a lot of fuel. It does like 9.2 at like 40 plus that. I mean, it's a rocket ship. It's just, so
it's not a flat bottom, and it doesn't have the,
it's meant to go from LA to New York at 9.2, and that's the mission.
Yeah.
So if there was a planet I'd fly, it'd be a Citation 10, no doubt.
Now, what about going in the opposite direction?
My least favorite airplane?
No, like opposite direction. Like, I mean, Citation 10 is, like that's badass. I'm not saying not badass, but I'm just saying in the other direction technologically. Like, I mean, tail wheel, aerobatic, like you said, steam gauges. Yeah. I mean, do you have any desire to check any of those out?
Yeah, so I want to stay, I don't want to be that jet guy that can't fly a piston airplane, because there's a lot of jet guys out there that cannot get in a piston airplane and fly it safely. It's just, and I see it. Flying a jet and flying a piston, very different. I mean, just very, very different. There's a plane up in Boston that it's a Geronimo. It's like this, has like these engines that sound like lawnmowers on it. Steam gauges. I think it might have like a 530 or something in there. And it's an old piece of, but it's the coolest looking airplane. It's louder than any jet I've ever heard in my life, and has 2 engines on it. It's like a old Aztec that they converted to a Geronimo into some funky thing that I have no idea. Huh. And I would love to start flying that around a little bit. Yeah. There's a buddy of mine just did upset recovery training in an extra down in Virginia, and I would like to do that at some point too. So there's some stuff I want to do. Tailwheel stuff, I don't know. I have a friend who owns a 1945 Stinson out in Jackson Hole.
Cool. And
we did some bush flying last summer, and I'll tell you, it's some interesting flying. I mean, you're like, where's the runway? Oh, it's that grass piece of hay down there. I'm like, oh boy. So there's some cool stuff. I'm going to be out in Jackson for the month of August this summer.
Oh, cool.
So I'm thinking I might do my tail wheel when I'm out there.
Yeah.
Just because I think it'd be some cool flying.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
But I don't know. I definitely want to stay proficient in GA. Definitely, do some cool stuff. But I'm not sure in which direction I want to go yet.
Yeah. Well, that is a very fun problem to have.
It is. Yes. Yeah. No, it's definitely a good problem to have. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So what else can you tell us about the future of CitationMax? I keep wanting to say CitatioMax. CitationMax. Yeah. What's the future in your, YouTube channel, streaming, flying? I mean, we kind of touched on those a little bit, but if you could just kind of put a nice little bow on your future, short term at least, what do you got in store?
Sure. So we'll start with the cool stuff. So YouTube, CitationMax on YouTube. Self-promotion. Sorry, guys.
Links will be in the description.
Links will be down low.
Everything is going to be all linked here.
So a couple cool things is, so we have one more Vision Jet video to go.
Okay.
Still from the Thanksgiving trip, but it's going to be the goodbye Vision Jet video. So it's going to be we're going to have some M2 stuff in there, some old Cirrus footage that no one's seen, kind of as like a movie. So that's the next video coming out. There's going to be the first citation video. So we're recording like madmen right now. Every flight we go on, we're doing Jackson Hole next week. So we'll have 7 cameras up for that. So we're really trying to do some cool stuff. The one thing about the channel, which people are going to notice, is with this airplane, we're going to be going to cooler places. So we have more options. There's going to be some Caribbean stuff, Bermuda stuff, mountain stuff, you know, not Boston, Philly, Dulles, you know, boring kind of stuff like that. So we're really going to be doing some cool stuff from that point of view. And, you know, as everyone knows, you know, me and Ty, we do the videos together. I'm kind of the set the cameras up, get him the shots he wants and all that stuff. And then we work together, mostly 99.8% him. And he does a fantastic job doing all the editing. I mean, he's just incredible. I mean, he's just amazing. So not to blow him up and make his head big, but he does a great job. And so we're kind of working together to really add some cool content to the channel. So there's that. And on the Twitch side, I'm trying to add some new stuff, trying to get better audio because this is old and dusty and you know, still just have fun with it. Like that's the biggest thing with the Twitch stuff is, you know, I know I'm never going to be the biggest Twitch star, and nor do I want to be. I just want to have the people that come into my channel that they enjoy being here. They like being here. They think that I'm doing interesting and cool stuff. They're learning. They're having a good time. I'm having a good time. And that's all I care about, you know? And so that, for me, that's the biggest bit. So that's kind of the Twitch stuff, which is kind of, you know, we just stream and we have fun. And love how you do it. Like, you do it because you love to do it. And that's kind of what I'll always stick to is when I stop loving it, that's when I'm going to stop streaming. Yeah. Because I know if I don't love it, I'm going to be boring as heck. and no one wants to watch a boring streamer. So that's kind of, you know, the Twitch stuff, but the YouTube stuff is kind of the big one. So we, you know, on a side note, Textron are doing this PR marketing campaign, Textron Aviation. I keep saying Textron. It's Textron Aviation because they cut me like 10 times at the first PR thing. Like, you keep saying Textron. It's Textron Aviation. So Textron Aviation.
Marketing people, dude, just like nonstop.
They're just So yes, so Textron Aviation is going to be the main, you know, is going to be the big PR thing that video is going to be coming out in May. It's going to show delivery from the simulator, inside flight safety. They shut down all the simulators. So we'll be showing that, delivery, some interview stuff. So there's going to be some cool stuff coming from that, kind of behind the scenes. And so that's kind of the next kind of couple months of CitationMax on YouTube and Twitch.
Dude, that's freaking awesome. I can't wait to see all that stuff.
You're going to love it. It's really cool. And on a different note, the camera angles and views that we have in the Citation from putting cameras on different places, we have many more options now than we did on the Vision Jet.
Nice. That helps a lot. That's a pain. That can be a real pain in the butt.
It's really hard, especially, you know, when I'm flying at single pilot.
Yeah.
You know, I can't get up from my seat. I can't. You know, so being able to have just cameras in good spots, I can just hit play and I can just do my thing and fly a safe, good airplane, and that's key. It's going to be some new camera angles, some cool stuff, and I'm super excited to be sharing that with the community.
Dude, that's awesome. Dude, we both switched into Cessnas at the same time.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, it has to be a sign, right? It has to be a good sign.
Slightly different Cessnas, but you know.
Hey, dude, GA is cool. And watching you do your training, and you have Brad now, who I think everyone loves. I love Brad.
He's the best.
He's great. And I think it doesn't matter what plane you're flying an airplane. It could be a Gulfstream G9 million, or it could be a Cessna 152. You're still in the air like a Gulfstream is, or a Cessna 152. You're still in the air. You're still flying an airplane.
It's the best.
No one cares. Yeah.
Nobody cares. It's the best.
It's the best. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Well, Max, thank you so much for taking the time to let us kind of, you know, pick apart your backstory and you know, it's awesome. I say this to everyone that I've interviewed so far, that we feel so close, you know, like, I mean, we're all friends. Like I would call you a friend, same with Ty and Marcus and Johnny and everybody. But, there's so much about our pasts and personally, what we've gone through to get here that just because the nature of our relationship being largely online, you don't really get that sense, like where somebody came from and their backstory. I mean, we could sit at a bar and talk for 5 hours and just not even skip a beat. And
absolutely. And for me, there's no difference between internet friends and friends. And that's the biggest misconception, because I always tell my mom or you're talking to your friend on the internet. And I said, there's no difference. They're not my friends. They're my friends. And I am talking to them, but there's no difference. And you're my friend. Ty is my, they're all my friends. They're not internet friends. Sure, we play video games on the internet together, and we see each other, 10 times a year or 5 times a year or once a year. It doesn't matter, and that's the biggest thing that I think is a kind of an internet-ism is that misconception. We're friends. There's no internet friends. We're friends. Yeah. And it's been a pleasure to be on here tonight, and thank you for having me, Bill. I really appreciate it. And
my pleasure, Max. Yeah.
I was happy to be able to share a little bit about my background and be a part of your awesome podcast.
Thank you, man. Well, we'll do a part 2 at some point.
Yes, anytime.
Once you've got some, more citation time. I really want, like I said, I want to learn more about you and, solidify more of the friendship versus internet friends. So we got that out of the way. The next time we have to go full on aviation nerd, just complete
just
nerd
go
out.
on. Done. Anytime. Count me in.
Love it, dude. All right, Max. Thanks so much, dude.
Absolutely. We'll see ya.
Peace.